What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today Bruce Wayne and myself are going to discuss the internet's worst dog breeders. How do you feel about that, bro? For all those wondering, Bruce Wayne's still feeling under the weather with kennel cough. So what prompted me to do this video is I've been wanting to do it for quite some time, but I wasn't sure how to do it because I only typically have one side of the story, and that's your guys' side of the story that come to me with your stories about X, Y, and Z breeder, issues you've had in the past, things you've seen with breeders. And I don't want this to become a witch hunt to hurt these breeders when I don't have their side of the story. Remember, there's always two sides to the story, guys. So what Bruce Wayne and myself figured we would do, we would use this video as almost a platform for you guys where you can leave your comments down below and tell your story, tell your experiences with us. That way, as a community, we can go back upon these comments, read them, discuss back and forth with experiences you've had with such breeder. So please, please, please take the opportunity to leave your story in the comments below. Any bad experiences you've had with a breeder, being just your one-on-one personal contact with them, be it a puppy or a dog you purchased from a breeder and they ended up having poor health and you didn't have any support from the breeder. Horror stories you've seen with breeding programs. Leave your story down below. That way individuals can reference these comments almost like a review when they're looking for a reputable breeder. Now, with that being said, I don't want hateful comments. I don't want this to turn into a witch hunt. Be respectful in breeders. Any breeders watching this, if somebody comments something on you, feel free to rebuttal. But again, keep it professional. First off, I'd like to just remind you guys that it is literally impossible for a breeder to breed 100% healthy dogs all the time. It's not going to happen. That's the way the world works. You can take two highly genetic freaks of dogs with the best genetics on how they look, their size, their health, their temperament, breed them together, and you can still end up with a dog with a poor temperament, a dog with poor health. So just remember that when looking at these comments, guys. I want to rehash a couple things I've discussed before in how to choose a breeder video, things you guys can look for when you're looking for a breeder. Before I discuss that, Bruce Wayne and myself and my family would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, ring my ding-a-ling so you miss any of the newest videos on Cane Corsos or Bruce Wayne. Hitting that like button and subscribe button will help get him feeling on the up and up much quicker. Maybe not, but they'll definitely help the YouTube algorithm though. It's pumpkin season, so I made a pumpkin spice cold brew. Bro, you can't drink cold brew. I probably talked to 15 breeders prior to getting Bruce Wayne, and there's probably only 3 to 4 that I liked. Here are some things that I found as a red flag when searching for a breeder for my Cane Corso. A handful of breeders only cared about the money. The first question they would ask me is, how do you plan on paying? That should not be the first question on a potential client of yours. The breeder should be asking you a ton of questions if you are serious about buying. So when it comes to a Cane Corso, for example, they should be asking you, are you experienced with dogs? Have you had dogs before? Have you had any guardian breeds before? Are you experienced with the breed? Anything like that, especially with this breed, because it's not for a first-time dog owner. It's not a breed where you want to just train on the fly and learn as you go and make mistakes, which is why we created some of these amazing training courses linked down below, the Fenrir Canine Boot Camp, the puppy training course. I always encourage people to really understand their training before getting their dog. That way they're not making mistakes. The breeder should be asking you if there's kids in the house, if you have any other pets. The breeder should be asking you what kind of living space your dog is going to have. Are they gonna have a yard to run around in? Are they going to have a fenced in yard? If they have a fenced in yard, how big is that fence? If you have a 4-foot fence, this dude's getting over it. Look at his ups right here. He just did his first box jump and it was like 108 inches tall. The breeder should ask if you're financially stable where you can raise one of these creatures. Give them the best life that they can have. Some crows outside Bruce Wayne's looking at right now. What is it, buddy? We don't need you to bark. You have a sore throat. You need to make sure the breeder is health testing their dogs. Make sure their parents have hip x-rays on them. Ask to see those x-rays and those certifications. You don't have to go to a large breeder, guys, to get the best dog available. Hobby breeders can be some of the best breeders that you're gonna find because they don't produce a lot of litters, and the litters they do produce, they really care for. These puppies are usually raised in a home with kids, meaning they're getting socialization with kids, which is always great. If the breeder's within driving distance of you, you should ask if you can visit the parents before you decide if you want a puppy from them. If a breeder's not gonna let you see the parents, I would run. Now, if you decide to go with the breeder, reserve your spot in line. The breeder should let you go look at the entire litter of puppies. You should be making sure they're in a cleanly house, a cleanly environment. The breeder's like, no, you can't see the puppies, then again, run for the hills in my opinion. Another thing to look out for is a breeder that is just breeding tons and tons of dogs. How much care can go into these breeders' dogs if they are just popping out puppies all the time, copious amounts of litters? It's gonna be tough. You should be trying to find people who purchased from a breeder before, not just looking at breeder reviews. Now, if you look at breeder reviews, what are you gonna find? Typically, someone who just recently got a puppy is going to post a review saying, oh my God, I love my puppy so much. I got it from X breeder, they're the best breeder in the world. That doesn't really say a lot about their dogs. That may tell you about the purchase process. It doesn't tell you about the support the breeder's given you through the life of their dog. It doesn't tell you about the dog's health over the long term. Try to find people who've bought from a breeder before 4, 5, 6, 10 years ago. Talk to those people. See if the breeder was there for them 2, 3, 4, 5 years later. See what the health of their dog was over the lifespan. The people who bred Bruce Wayne, Zoe DeVita and Susan Tyrone, are amazing individuals. Anytime I message them, they are quick to respond to me. If I have any health concerns, I'd have questions, they were always there for me. To this day, they're there for me. That's the type of breeder you guys need to be looking for. Someone that's there for you for the life of your dog, someone that cares for the dog they sold you. Every breeder should want their dogs placed in a very loving home and want the best for their dogs that they've sold you. Another thing to look for in a breeder is they should be giving you a health guarantee. If a breeder doesn't give you a health guarantee, then they are absolute trash. Run for the hills, don't buy from them. Let's be honest, guys, if you get a puppy and usually health guarantees the health of the dog for the first year, and if something's wrong with the dog, you can give them back for a new puppy. If you have a heart and you really care for your dog and you've raised it for 11 months and you find out it has some sort of genetic issue due to the breeding and you could trade in your puppy for a new one, are you really gonna give up your puppy for a new one? I would hope not. That's just cold-hearted and it really shows you truly don't care about your dog. I know a lot of breeders know you're not gonna give up your puppy, but it still should be offered a health guarantee. Where a health guarantee can come into place and be effective and be helpful for the client is, let's say you get a puppy and 6 months later it dies of a genetic defect, unfortunately. Then yes, you're probably gonna want another puppy. And the breeder should be fully willing to give you another puppy. I understand they may not wanna give you the $3,000 back plus that you paid for the dog because they may not have it on hand. Guys, it costs a lot of money to breed dogs. I know you see dogs costing $3,000, $4,000 and you're probably thinking, oh my God, this breeder's making bank on this. That is not the truth. It is expensive to raise a litter of puppies. It is expensive to do the health testing. It is expensive for these breeders to import proper dogs into their breeding program. So just remember that, guys. A lot of breeders are not making a lot of money on their dogs. They're not getting rich off their breeding program. Now, yes, there are certain breeders getting rich off their breeding program because they're breeding copious amounts of dogs, or they're preying on their Instagram fame, their Facebook fame, their YouTube fame, or whatever, if you want to call it fame. I don't really consider it fame. They're preying off their community, unfortunately. And it goes just beyond Cane Corsos. You can take a French Bulldog, a Lab, a Golden Doodle. A lot of people are just out there to make money, and they're gonna prey off you and your emotions to do so. Now, on to the internet's worst breeders and why I am doing this video. For the past year and a half, I've received hundreds of DMs, private DMs, about certain breeders, certain internet breeders, and it's not just one, it's been a lot of them. You just chilling, bro? Chilling with your boner out? There's Tips Ahoy out right now. Don't make Karen mad. I called your Tips Ahoy out. I only have one side of the story, and that's you guys that are DMing me. I'm not going to put anyone on blast. That's really not my thing. I'll put you on blast if you do me wrong, and that's because I will then have two sides of the story. Like when that person was selling their dogs using Bruce Wayne as a picture on their website saying that's their female that they bred. So the horror stories range from people buying purebred dogs, promised papers, never getting the papers. And then when these individuals would try to contact the breeder to send the papers, the breeder would say, yeah, I'll send them over, just give me a week. A week would pass, they'd DM them again or message them again, and no papers would still come. And then eventually the breeder would just start ghosting them. And I have seen screenshots of conversations with people in the breeder. Some of these instances were brought to court. So I'm not going to get involved in who does what. Other horror stories I've seen are poor health of puppies, hip dysplasia in puppies, parvo in puppies. And these breeders would try to hide from the public about the health issues of their dogs. Now, to me, a breeder that's fully transparent is a breeder I'm more likely to trust. Like I said at the beginning of this video, a breeder can't produce every dog with 100% health. I don't think you guys would expect that. That's just common sense. So why would a breeder ask their client not to make their puppies or their dog's health issues public knowledge? That just seems super sketchy to me. It's almost like the government, right? The government tells us certain information, but there's obviously top secret stuff that they're not telling us. If a breeder is trying to hide something from a client, what are they truly hiding behind the scenes where nobody knows but the breeder and the people around them? I've seen numerous breeders basically threaten their clients. And yes, I've seen these screenshots as well. And it's a really sad thing because all dogs are amazing creatures, right? And then you have breeders taking advantage of the popularity of certain breeds. Cane Corsos are getting popular now. A lot of people want a Cane Corso. Maybe people that are watching this channel want a Cane Corso because they see Bruce Wayne and they see how majestic he is and how good our relationship is together. But they don't just come like this. You know, you really have to raise your dog properly and be a proper leader to them to get them to act like you want, to get them to have proper house manners, to not be aggressive to everyone. But a lot of people don't see that. And that's another thing, is a lot of these breeders don't even care who they sell their dogs to. They don't take any of that into consideration. They just want to make money off the breed. Let me know your stories down below. You can say what breeder you got it from. These breeders can come to this page and they can rebuttal you and give their side of the story. All I ask is for no hate. Don't be swearing at each other. Don't be calling each other names. Because when you're doing that, you're really taking away from your own story and your message. I know getting a dog is a very emotional experience. Having a dog's an emotional experience, and it's fine to be angry. When you're telling your story down below, let's not make it a witch hunt. State facts, state what happened to you, state who you got your dog from, and be fair to the breeder as well. Let us know as a community what they offered you for help or assistance in X situation. Just because you got a dog and it ended up with a health issue doesn't mean that's a bad breeder. Now, if the breeder asked you to hide the information, ghosts you, yeah, that's definitely a bad breeder. Nobody I'd want to do business with. So let's start a list down below of the internet's worst breeders. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you name it. List it out down below. Things you've personally witnessed, things that have personally happened to you, because we really could save a lot of heartache for other people's by doing so. Bruce Wayne's sick, as you guys know, right now with kennel cough, and it is so heartbreaking when our pets get sick. So I can't imagine if he had some massive health issue due to breeding and the breeder not being there to support me and help me through this time. Share this video on your Facebook, guys, on your Instagram, on your Twitters, in your dog forums you go to. And I really hope this video serves as a good forum for everyone just to share information. And until next time, Bruce Wayne and myself will see you later. Peace.